In the chaos of modern life, where noise drowns out clarity and urgency overshadows peace, many of us feel like we're sinking, dragged beneath waves of pressure, conflict, and endless uncertainty. But what if I told you there's a way not just to stay afloat, but to stand tall amidst the storm? A timeless path, forged by ancient wisdom, that leads you not away from difficulty, but through it, with clarity, strength, and unshakable calm. That path is Stoicism, not merely a philosophy but a practice, a discipline that teaches us to master what we can control and release what we cannot. It doesn't promise a life without hardship. It offers something far greater, the power to remain emotionally invincible within hardship. In this video, we're diving deep into the Stoic mindset, not in theory but in practice. We'll explore 10 enduring principles that, if understood and applied daily, will transform how you face every challenge, every insult, every moment of doubt. Whether you're caught in the turbulence of relationships, drowning in the demands of work, or just feeling the quiet ache of purposelessness, this video will give you tools. Not flashy tricks, but timeless anchors. Anchors to keep your soul steady, your mind clear, and your emotions grounded. So, if you're ready, truly ready to reclaim your inner strength and walk the path of the Stoic, join me. Let's begin this journey together. 1. Control your mind and emotions, or be ruled by them forever. Let me ask you something. Have you ever said something you didn't mean just because you were angry? Have you ever felt a wave of panic, of shame, of rage so strong that it hijacked your entire being? And then afterwards, silence, regret, a sinking feeling that says, "That wasn't me." But here's the uncomfortable truth. It was you. It was the untrained, unguarded version of you, the version that speaks first and thinks later, the version the Stoics warned us about. You see, emotions aren't the enemy, but when left unchecked, they become tyrants, and every time you give them full control, you surrender your sovereignty. You let the world dictate who you are, instead of choosing it for yourself. The Stoic response: rule your inner world first. The Stoics taught us that we suffer not from events, but from our judgment about them. That means the battlefield isn't out there, it's within. And if you can win that battle, nothing outside can truly defeat you. When someone insults you, what hurts isn't the words. It's the meaning you assign to them. It's your need to be liked. It's your ego whispering, "You don't deserve this." But imagine this instead. Someone speaks cruelty into the air, and you remain still, not passive, not numb, just unmoved, because you've trained yourself to respond with reason, not reflex. That is Stoic power. That is emotional invincibility. You cannot master life until you master reaction. So how do you begin? You start by watching yourself. Like a warrior sharpening his blade, you train daily, not in the arena, but in your mind. You notice your triggers. You observe your mental chatter. You become a student of your own emotion. And then when the storm hits, you breathe. You pause. Not because you're weak, but because you're choosing power over panic. Think of it this way. A child screams when he's hungry. A master calmly prepares a meal. A fool lashes out when offended. A Stoic reflects before he speaks. The masses react. The wise man chooses. Discipline is freedom in disguise. Controlling your emotions doesn't mean suppressing them. It means understanding them so deeply that they no longer control you. You don't bury anger, you study it. You don't deny fear, you dissect it. You don't run from sadness, you sit with it until it tells you what it's here to teach. And little by little something changes. You stop reacting to everything. You stop being pulled by every wave of drama, insult, anxiety, or desire. You develop stillness, precision, authority, and eventually your mind becomes a fortress. A place so stable that even chaos can't crack it. A place so rooted in discipline, it becomes the wellspring of peace. That is what Stoics call ataraxia, inner calm, that no external noise can touch. Tactical practices for mental mastery. So what does this look like practically? Set intention every morning. Before the world invades, claim your inner world. Breathe deeply when anger rises. The breath is your sword. Use it. Journal your thoughts, unfiltered. Let them out so you can examine, refine, and reframe. Fast from noise, turn off the phone, step away from opinions, return to clarity. Read the greats, Marcus, Seneca, Epictetus. Let their words shape your inner dialogue. Surround yourself with strength. Avoid the dramatic, seek the disciplined, learn from the calm. Most of all, practice presence, because the present moment is where power lives. Not in the regret of yesterday, not in the fantasy of tomorrow, but here, now. Why this matters more than anything? Because if you can't control your mind, someone else will. If you don't manage your reactions, the world will manipulate them. And if you don't build emotional discipline, you will be a slave forever, chasing comfort, validation, and escape. But if you do the work, if you truly train your mind and master your emotional responses, you become untouchable. A fence rolls off your shoulders. Chaos swirls around you but doesn't enter. You speak less but say more. You feel deeply but remain free. You become the calm within the storm, and eventually you become the storm itself. Not destructive but powerful, purposeful, unshakable. 2. Cultivate a firm purpose, your unshakable core in a shifting world. Picture this. You wake up each morning and immediately find yourself pulled in a dozen directions. Notifications buzzing, emails piling, people needing, expectations shouting from every corner. You scroll, you react, you chase, and by the end of the day, you've moved but gone nowhere. You've done so much but achieved so little. Why? Because without a clear purpose, motion is not progress. Without direction, every step is just another distraction. The Stoics understood this long before the world became this loud. Epictetus said it plainly. First say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do. In other words, before you act. A firm purpose is more than a goal. It is more than a vision board or a list of ambitions. It is a deep, unshakable commitment to live by what truly matters to you. It's the internal compass that holds steady even when the external world is chaos. Think of purpose as your soul's anchor. When storms hit, and they always do, it keeps you from being thrown off course. When life disappoints, when people betray you, when plans fall apart, your purpose is the reason you don't. But don't expect it to come easily. You won't find it in motivational quotes. You won't stumble upon it while scrolling. A true purpose requires something rare in this age: stillness, introspection, and honesty. Ask yourself, what do I value more than comfort? What kind of person do I want to be when no one is watching? What do I stand for, even if it costs me popularity, approval, or ease? You may not have the answers right away. That's okay. What matters is that you ask and keep asking. Journal. Walk in silence. Read great minds. Wrestle with your conscience. And when that purpose reveals itself, protect it. Defend it like your life depends on it, because it does. A man without purpose is at the mercy of every passing emotion, every shiny object, every crowd. A man with purpose, he moves differently. He speaks less but means more. He chooses what to carry and what to let go. He doesn't chase approval because he's already anchored in something deeper. Let me tell you what a firm purpose does for you. It transforms pressure into fuel. It turns rejection into redirection. It makes distractions less tempting and setbacks less devastating. It gives your suffering meaning. It gives your victories weight. And perhaps most importantly, it gives your life shape. Purpose gives rise to character. And character, when tested, reveals who you are. So pause and reflect, not just once, but often. Write your purpose down, say it aloud, live it in your habits, let it shape your mornings, your conversations, your work, your discipline. And when the world tries to drown you in doubt or pull you off track, let this purpose be your lighthouse. Not loud, not flashy, just constant. You don't need to control the sea, you only need to know where you're headed. 3. Transform offense into growth, the power of choosing peace over pride. We've all felt it, that sting in the chest when someone mocks us, that heat rising in our throat when someone dismisses us, embarrasses us, talks down to us in front of others. It feels personal, it feels unjust, it feels like an attack that demands retaliation. And so we clench our fists, if not physically, then mentally. We rehearse comebacks in our head, we replay the moment, we dwell in the fire. Because something in us wants to strike back, to reclaim dignity through dominance, to prove we won't be disrespected. But here's the paradox. The Stoics understood. Every time you react in anger, you give your offender even more power. They pulled the trigger, but you chose to bleed. Offense is not given, it is taken. Let's make something clear. No one can offend you without your consent. Words are sounds, expressions are gestures. It is your interpretation, your mental framing, that turns them into weapons. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Choose not to be harmed, and you won't feel harmed. Don't feel harmed, and you haven't been." This isn't denial, it's mastery. It's the realization that between what is said and how you respond, there is space. And in that space lies your power to choose peace over pride, wisdom over warfare. You don't have to defend yourself. You don't have to react. You can pause, you can observe, you can rise above. Because offense is a test, not of your intelligence, not of your status, but of your inner strength. Offense is a mirror. Use it to see deeper. Ask yourself, why does this particular insult hurt so much? Is it because it's true, or because it touches a wound I haven't healed? Or perhaps it's because I care too much about what this person thinks? Here's a Stoic exercise worth practicing. 1. Don't react immediately. Let the initial wave pass. Emotions are always loudest at first. 2. Write it down. What was said? Why did it hurt? Be honest. No judgment, only observation. 3. Ask, what's the lesson here? Every offense contains insight about yourself, the other person, or the human condition. Sometimes the lesson is to be more emotionally agile. Sometimes it's to set firmer boundaries. Sometimes it's to realize you were too attached to how others perceive you. Whatever the truth is, dig until you find it, because that truth will set you free. Forgiveness isn't for them. It's for you. The world tells you to clap back, to humiliate them harder, to win the moment. But the Stoic doesn't seek to win moments, he seeks to win himself. Revenge is cheap. Retaliation is easy. But forgiveness? Forgiveness is freedom. It is the discipline of saying, "You hurt me, but I refuse to carry that pain any further." It doesn't mean you excuse the offense. It doesn't mean they were right. It simply means you no longer control my energy. I choose clarity over corrosion. Forgiveness is the cleansing of emotional debt. And every time you practice it, you gain more control over your inner kingdom. Offense is the weight, but you choose whether to carry it. Consider this. Every offense you carry becomes a weight on your back. And as you collect them, resentment, grudges, old insults, you begin to bend. Not because life is unfair, but because you refused to let go. Stoicism isn't about never feeling pain, it's about not becoming pain. It's about letting emotions flow through you, but not letting them define you. The Stoic knows. Holding a grudge is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. It only weakens you. So ask yourself today, what offense am I still carrying? Is it helping me grow, or is it weighing me down? Am I still chained to an insult that I should have released years ago? Reframe the wound and let it make you wiser. Here is the Stoic secret to emotional invincibility. Reframing. When someone offends you, ask, what might they be going through? Are they speaking from pain, fear, ignorance? Is this an opportunity for me to strengthen my equanimity? This isn't weakness, it's the highest form of strength. Empathy is not softness. It's clarity sharpened by wisdom. Remember, you don't rise above people by dominating them. You rise above them by refusing to descend to their level. Transform offense into growth every time. Every insult is an invitation to harden or to refine, to react or to reclaim your peace. The Stoic chooses growth. He walks through the fire not to burn others but to become tempered by it. So the next time offense comes, and it will, smile. Not in mockery, but in power. Because you'll know, this moment will not control me. This emotion will not define me. I am not here to react. I am here to elevate. 4. Handle criticism wisely. Turn judgment into fuel, not fire. There's a moment, maybe you've lived it, when someone looks you in the eyes and says something that cuts deep. A comment, a tone, a sideways glance, and suddenly the air feels heavier, your pulse quickens, your mind races. You feel misunderstood, attacked, maybe even humiliated. And in that moment, you're standing at a crossroads. React or reflect, defend or discern, explode or evolve. The Stoics knew this moment well. They trained for it not to avoid criticism, but to become immune to its poison, and wise enough to extract its medicine. Because here's the truth. Criticism is inevitable. Weak men run from it, strong men use it. You are not what they say you are, how you respond. Epictetus taught that it's not the things themselves that disturb us, but our judgments about them. And criticism? It is just that, a judgment. Someone else's perception, filtered through their values, their insecurities, their stories. So when someone criticizes you harshly, pause. Don't take it at face value. Don't let their words bypass your reason and go straight into your heart. Instead, observe it like a Stoic scientist. Ask, who is speaking? Do they live a life I respect? Is there truth in this, or is it projection? Does this reveal a blind spot in me or in them? Sometimes criticism is a mirror, other times it's a smokescreen. The wise man knows the difference. Criticism is a test of character, not an attack on it. Let's be clear, being open to criticism doesn't mean you roll over and accept every opinion. It means you are strong enough not to need validation. It means your ego is no longer your master. It means you can stand in front of someone who disagrees with you and remain still, calm and curious. Because criticism, in its rawest form, is a test. It tests your self-awareness. Do you know who you are? It tests your integrity. Will you stay true to your principles, even when challenged? And it tests your emotional strength. Can you stay composed while others lose theirs? How to handle criticism like a Stoic. 1. Don't react. Breathe. When someone criticizes you, your first reaction is often the most emotional. But emotion clouds judgment. The Stoic waits, lets the sting pass, then responds with reason. 2. Examine the source. Is the person criticizing you someone whose character you admire, or someone who thrives on conflict? Truth from a fool is still truth, but a wise man evaluates the vessel before drinking. 3. Extract the value. Even in the harshest tone there may be truth, even in ignorance a lesson. The Stoic doesn't get offended, he gets sharper, he turns feedback into refinement. 4. Let go of the rest. Not all opinions deserve your attention. Once you've extracted the useful, discard the noise. Don't carry insults that don't belong to you. 5. Respond with grace, or don't respond at all. Sometimes, silence is the highest form of strength. Sometimes, a calm, thank you, is all the reply needed. You don't need to win arguments. You need to win yourself. Build a mind too strong to be shaken by words. Seneca said, "He who does not know how to be silent will not know how to speak." Likewise, he who cannot endure criticism cannot grow. You will be misunderstood. You will be underestimated. You will be doubted, even by those closest to you. But if your foundation is firm, if your sense of self is built on virtue, reflection, and inner clarity, no insult can reach you. No critic can define you. No judgment can pierce your peace. You won't flinch. You won't fight back with bitterness. You'll smile not out of arrogance, but because you've already fought harder battles inside yourself. Criticism is inevitable. Suffering from it is optional. In a world addicted to approval, the Stoic walks a different path. He welcomes feedback, but remains unmoved by flattery or contempt. He listens not to react, but to understand. He doesn't seek to be liked, he seeks to be true. So next time you're criticized, don't ask, "Why are they attacking me?" Ask instead, "What does this reveal about me? What can I learn? How can I rise above, not to feel superior, but to remain unshaken?" In that moment, you stop being the target, and you become the example. 5. Overcome fear and shame. Reclaim the power you've been giving away. There's a silent force that holds millions of people hostage, not with chains, not with prison walls, but with thoughts. It whispers when you try something new. It paralyzes you when you stand at the edge of a decision. It shouts, "What if I fail?" before you even begin. It mutters, "Who do you think you are?" whenever you dream. That force is fear, and walking right beside it, hand in hand, is shame. Together, they make a powerful duo. Fear prevents you from starting. Shame keeps you from forgiving yourself for ever trying. And if left unchecked, they become architects of a small, invisible prison, one you carry everywhere. But here's the liberating truth the Stoics understood. Fear and shame are not real in themselves. They are illusions created by your interpretation. They are not events, they are reactions. And what is created by thought can be uncreated by awareness. Fear is just the shadow of a question you've never answered. The Stoics never taught us to be fearless. They taught us to face fear fully until it loses its teeth. Epictetus said, "What upsets people is not things themselves, but their judgments about these things." And fear? It's often a misjudgment, a distorted projection of what might happen based on incomplete stories we tell ourselves. So ask, what exactly am I afraid of? Failure, embarrassment, rejection, pain? And if that fear became real, what would it actually mean? Could I survive it? Could I grow from it? Most of the time, fear shrinks under direct examination. It thrives in the shadows, not in the light of truth. It's like mist in the morning, dense from afar, but once you walk through it, there's nothing there. You cannot heal what you refuse to name. And then there's shame, fear's quiet cousin. It doesn't shout, it lingers. It tells you that you are less than, that you are unworthy, that because of your past, your mistakes, your flaws, you're disqualified from peace, love, or success. But shame is not a punishment, it's a wound. And like all wounds, it can either fester or heal, but never both. The Stoic path begins with truth. And truth requires you to face your shame without flinching. Ask yourself, what am I still ashamed of? What memory still makes me turn away inside? Have I learned from it, or am I still letting it define me? Stoicism doesn't demand perfection. It demands ownership. When you face your shame not with self-pity, but with radical honesty, something changes. You stop being its prisoner. You start becoming its teacher. Forgiveness isn't weakness, it's wisdom in action. You cannot become strong while still beating yourself up for who you used to be. You cannot evolve if your self-image is stuck in guilt, regret, or old definitions. You must learn to say, "Yes, I did that. Yes, I failed. Yes, I hurt. But I am not that anymore. I am who I am becoming. Forgiveness is not indulgence, it's cleansing. It's the clearing of old mental clutter so that space is made for new growth. It's not saying the past didn't happen, it's saying it no longer controls the steering wheel. You take back the narrative. You rewrite your identity. You move forward not with amnesia, but with wisdom. Expose yourself to fear one step at a time. So how do we overcome fear and shame? Not by waiting for courage to magically appear, but by acting despite fear, again and again, until the fear loses its grip. This is what the Stoics called premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of evils. It's the mental practice of visualizing what could go wrong, not to catastrophize, but to prepare. To remind yourself that no matter what happens, you can endure it. Start with small exposures. Speak when your voice trembles. Try when you fear embarrassment. Write when your inner critic says you have nothing to say. And with each act of quiet bravery, your identity shifts. You become someone who does, not someone who hides. You're not broken, you're becoming. And one final truth, there is no version of you that doesn't carry scars. There is no future where you are completely free of fear or unworthy memories. But there is a future where those scars become your story, where those fears become your fuel, where shame becomes the soil from which your integrity grows. You don't need to destroy your fear. You need to walk with it. You don't need to erase your shame. You need to redeem it by living better now than you did then. That's the Stoic path, not to be untouched by the fire, but to walk through it and emerge reforged. And in the end you'll realize the things you feared the most, they were only shadows. The shame that haunted you, just a signal pointing you back home, back to your strength, back to your worth, back to who you were always meant to become. 6. Build inner strength, the strength no one sees but everyone feels. Epictetus once said, "It's not what happens to you that breaks you, but how you react to it." This is the essence of inner strength. It lies not in controlling circumstances, but in mastering your inner response. When faced with harsh criticism from someone close to you, or when you stumble in the middle of a journey you've been working hard on, you have two choices: give up or stand firm, react impulsively or keep a clear mind. You can't control what happens, but you can choose how you respond. Inner strength is cultivated through self-awareness and intentional practice. It starts with recognizing your emotions instead of letting them consume you. It's not about suppressing them, it's about observing, taking a step back to understand why you feel the way you do. This awareness is the first step to moving from acting out of reflex to acting out of choice. This is how you begin to build resilience. The Stoics also emphasize distinguishing between what is within our control and what is not. We cannot control the actions or words of others, but we can control our own attitudes, reactions, and thoughts. Focusing on what you can control helps you conserve energy, maintain inner peace, and reduce unnecessary stress. It's like a shift in awareness, and the more you practice, the more calm you'll feel in the midst of chaos. Forgiveness is also a manifestation of inner strength. Holding grudges or resentments only drains your energy, blinds you, and weighs you down. Forgiveness does not mean condoning wrongdoing, but rather freeing yourself from the emotional control that others have intentionally or unintentionally exerted on you. Forgiveness helps you heal, let go, and move on with a lighter mind. It is an act of a strong person, one who has understood that maintaining inner peace is far more valuable than retaliating or proving something. Ultimately, inner strength is resilience. Life is full of setbacks and failures, that's inevitable. But the strong person isn't the one who never falls, but the one who can always rise from the wound. And each time you learn something, you become deeper, stronger, and more resilient. Here's the message Stoic philosophy sends you. Don't look for strength on the outside. Start building it from within. It doesn't have to be perfect. Just be consistent, a little bit at a time. 7. Anticipate obstacles. Prepare your mind before the battle begins. We often live like sleepwalkers, moving through life under the illusion of control. We assume things will go smoothly. We expect others to behave fairly. We believe the sun will shine just because it did yesterday. And then life reminds us. The car breaks down. The deal falls through. The betrayal comes from someone you trusted most. And in that instant, your whole world feels like it's crashing. But the Stoic, he doesn't crash, because he already saw it coming. Hope for the best, train for the worst. One of the greatest Stoic mental tools is premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of evils. It's the quiet discipline of anticipating difficulty, not to live in fear, but to walk into life armed, not with cynicism, but with clarity. It works like this. Before the day begins, you pause and ask, what could go wrong today? What conversations might get heated? Where might I be tested, challenged, ignored, misunderstood? You run the scenarios not to get anxious, but to get ready. You visualize setbacks, delays, rejection, failure, not because you're negative, but because you're strong. This is not pessimism. This is preparation. And when the moment actually comes, when the chaos arrives, you're not caught off guard. You're calm. You nod quietly and say, "Ah, there you are. I knew you'd show up. Let's dance." Surprise is the parent of panic. Most suffering doesn't come from the event itself. It comes from being surprised by the event. It's the gap between expectation and reality that causes panic, disappointment, rage. But when you've already prepared your mind, there's no shock. It's just adjustment, redirection, stillness. Think of the Stoic as a seasoned warrior. Before the battle, he sharpens his sword, checks his armor, surveys the terrain. Not because he expects defeat, but because he knows life doesn't owe him an easy day. Train your mind to expect difficulty, and you will be unbreakable. Most people break not because life is hard, but because they thought it shouldn't be. They believed success would be linear. They believed people would always be kind. They believed things should go as planned. The Stoic believes otherwise. He assumes the path will be rough. He knows plans will be disrupted. He accepts that people are flawed, himself included. And because of this, he is ready. This mindset makes you untouchable. When difficulty strikes, you don't flinch. You adapt. When the conversation turns disrespectful, you don't explode. You breathe. When you fall behind, when you're doubted, when the world moves against you, you don't crumble. You refocus, because your expectation already included difficulty. And so it has no power over your spirit. Flexibility is the child of anticipation. To anticipate obstacles is not to be rigid, it's to be fluid. You don't panic when the path changes because you never married a single route. You're not obsessed with control. You're committed to the outcome, but flexible in method. Seneca said, "Fate leads the willing and drags the unwilling." When you anticipate, you become willing. You move with life, not against it. You flow not because you're passive, but because you're aware. Remember your past and prepare from it. Reflection is another form of anticipation. You've been through storms before. You've failed, been rejected, humiliated, exhausted, heartbroken, and yet you're still here. So ask yourself, what patterns do I keep facing? Where do I consistently stumble? What mistakes am I still repeating? Use your past not as shame, but as data. Every failure contains a blueprint for resilience. Every scar is a map of your strength. Don't fear repeating the past. Fear not learning from it. When you're mentally ready, life loses its power to intimidate you. People who never prepare are always shaken. Every criticism destroys them. Every delay depresses them. Every hardship confuses them. But those who anticipate, They are grounded. They are rooted in a calm that doesn't come from denial, but from design. They have rehearsed loss. They have walked through fire in their imagination, and because of that they are able to remain composed when others fall apart. The Stoic man lives in two worlds, what is and what could be. He visits the what-ifs in the morning, so they cannot dominate him at night. Conclusion of this principle: so prepare your mind, sharpen your awareness, train in the silence before the noise comes. And then when the storm hits, when life tests you, you will not just survive. You will rise, because you weren't surprised. You were ready. 8. Restrain your actions. Self-discipline is the ultimate power. True strength isn't about what you do when things are easy. It's about what you do when things are hard. We've all experienced it. Anger flares up in a split second. Words rush out like a reflex. The impulse pushes you to act immediately. But Stoic philosophy reminds us, power lies not in swift action, but in the ability to hold back. We can't always control our immediate emotions, but we can always control our reactions if we practice. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Hurt you? No problem, unless you let them hurt you." When someone offends you, when things don't go your way, the first thing that comes up is the emotional impulse. But if you can pause, that pause is where you decide who is in control, the emotion or you. Self-restraint is not weakness. It is a higher form of power, a kind of quiet courage. When you choose not to respond immediately, you are not losing, you are winning. That doesn't mean you don't act. It means you act intentionally, based on reason, not emotion. In today's world, where people speak out easily, react easily, lose their cool easily, the most trustworthy people are those who control themselves. They are not driven by anger. They do not chase instant gratification. They control their timing and their words. Self-control is also about delaying gratification, not needing everything right away, not letting emotions dictate your schedule. You practice self-discipline by make a plan and commit to it. Set limits for yourself. Say no when necessary, even to things you want. This does not make you rigid. On the contrary, it makes you strong, flexible, and in control of yourself. In communication, self-control also helps you maintain healthy relationships. When arguing, if you stay calm instead of getting angry, you not only maintain your dignity, but also create space for others to calm down. You don't have to say it all or retort it all. You need to say the right things, at the right time, with the right attitude. Self-control isn't an instinct, it's a skill. And like any skill, it takes practice. Every time you do not speak hastily, every time you choose to think instead of act hastily, every time you don't let temporary desires lead you astray, you are training yourself to become a steady, reliable, and resilient person. In short, self-control is not just a virtue, it is the foundation of maturity. A person who can control his actions, emotions, and words is a person who can control his whole life. 9. Live according to nature. Live according to nature. Epictetus and other Stoics emphasize that living according to nature means recognizing our true place in the world and behaving in accordance with our rational and social nature. At its core, this is about living authentically and in harmony with the universe. Living naturally begins with self-awareness, a deep understanding of yourself, your values, your strengths, your purpose in life. When you understand your natural tendencies and your true nature, you can make choices that align with your true self, instead of trying to live up to external standards. Not only does this help you be true to yourself, it also relieves you of stress, pretense, and inner conflict. This principle also includes accepting the natural cycles of life. Just as the seasons change, so too does human life have periods of growth, stability, decline, and rebirth. When you learn to accept difficult times as an inevitable part of life, You no longer fight reality. Instead, you go with the flow, stay grounded, and adapt gracefully. Living in accordance with nature also means practicing basic virtues. Wisdom, to see things clearly, make the right decisions. Courage, to face challenges. Justice, to treat others fairly. Moderation, to maintain balance, not to chase after insatiable desires. These are principles that help you live up to your highest nature as a rational and moral human being. Additionally, living in harmony with nature also means being in harmony with the community. As humans are social creatures, we have a responsibility to contribute, support, and build relationships based on understanding and empathy. When you act with compassion, know how to share and create value for others, you are living true to the human nature that the universe has given you. Finally, simplicity and contentment are also part of living in harmony with nature. In a world full of material temptations and competition, simplicity helps you maintain clarity and focus on what really matters: health, dignity, family, and peace. In short, living in harmony with nature means living in accordance with your rational, moral, and social nature. It is a combination of understanding yourself, accepting the laws of life, cultivating core virtues, and living in harmony with your community and the world. When you live like this, you no longer feel conflicted, lost, or pretending. You become free, strong, and at peace, not because the world has changed, but because you have chosen to be true to yourself. 10. Practice acceptance. Be calm before reality, whatever it is. We often react violently to things we don't want. A job loss, a failure, a relationship ending. We struggle, we complain, we deny, as if by doing so we can change what happened. But Stoicism doesn't teach us to resist reality. It teaches us to accept it, not because we're weak, but because it's the path to true power. Acceptance is not giving up. It is the first step to taking the right action. When you fight what happened, you waste energy on something you can't change. But when you accept, you shift your focus to what you can control: your next action, your next choice, your next reaction. For example, you lose your job. Of course, you have the right to be sad and disappointed. But then what? Stoicism teaches you to look the truth in the face. The thing is gone. You still have yourself. And from here, what can you do next? Acceptance helps you not waste another day in needless suffering. One effective acceptance practice is mindfulness. When you observe your thoughts and feelings in a conscious, non-judgmental way, you gradually learn to let things be without necessarily reacting. You see an unpleasant feeling, a negative thought. You acknowledge it. You don't identify with it. You let it pass like a cloud in the sky, and you remain with yourself at peace. Acceptance also means giving up perfectionism. We are raised to think that we have to be perfect to be worthy of love, respect, success. But the truth is, no one is perfect. There is no perfect situation. No journey is without stumbles. Stoics accept imperfections in themselves and in others. Instead of demanding everything to be just right, they learn to be grateful for what they have and see opportunities for growth in things that don't go their way. Gratitude is an important part of acceptance, because when you focus on what you have instead of what you lack, your mind gradually shifts from a state of dissatisfaction to a state of abundance. Instead of thinking, "Why is this so difficult?" you might ask yourself, "What can I learn from this? Who is with me right now? What am I grateful for?" Transformation comes from within. Acceptance in relationships is also something that Stoics practice. We often expect others to behave the way we want them to, and when they don't, we get angry, disappointed, and hurt. But a Stoic understands everyone is living their own life with their own hurts, limitations, and choices. Accepting them doesn't mean accepting the hurt. It means, I no longer allow your differences to destroy my peace. In short, acceptance is not a weak act. It is a powerful statement. I choose not to fight what I cannot control. I choose to focus on what I can do today, because it is in that acceptance that you find freedom. Freedom from resistance, freedom from useless anger, freedom from the illusion that life must be your way to have any value. You've just walked through the 10 core principles of Stoicism, each one not a theory to memorize, but a way of life to practice. In a world full of turmoil, emotion, and chaos, true power comes not from controlling others or circumstances, but from mastering yourself. You don't have to be an unemotional person. You have to be an emotional person who is still grounded, not swept away, not manipulated, not knocked down. Pick one principle that you find most important right now. Apply it, live it, repeat it every day, and you will see. The more disciplined you are inside, the more free you are outside. The more calm you are inside, the more unconquerable you are by the world. Thank you for joining us. If this video brings you value, please like, leave a comment sharing your favorite mindset, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel to continue the journey of building inner strength as strong as steel in the spirit of Stoicism. Live mindfully, live authentically, and remember, no one can defeat a person who masters himself.